I owe it all to you. That's not making the edit. Now look, it was only a matter of time before I got asked to kindly leave the UK. But the UFC is headed to Paris and so am I. Au revoir, motherfuckers!
Youth making an exit, holding on to treasures, lusting after pleasures. I become addicted to this feeling under pressure. I get plenty loot these days, I swear I never let up. It's embedded in my genetics like nice clothes and seeing where the night goes. Lately when the lights low, I just get like light bulbs. Attempted to right wrongs, I carry a light load. I travel the right roads, I see how the dice roll. I talk that you need to hear, tell it how I'm dealing with it. They been on that silly shit, I rap the pay the billies. Trying to see I'm nearly here, out here flossing plenty big. I don't want no bust down wrist, I'd rather save my innocence. Miss when we would Kool-Aid sip, cops outside the church. Out here in the field, they pull it off the hip and empty clip. I'm talking cryptic, telling me we bought a bigger crib. Pops is playing the beat scene on the bigger, better things. I'm in the classroom cutting up, acting like the bigger kids. My hood was really everything. The bros was more than tenants here. I was barely tenant couldn't kick a flip for just copped the whip and dipped him. Thought to steal that, see what we've been dealing with. Let's get broad is filthy here. Hate the fact that I wasn't surprised to hear when Chris got killed. Like I'm barely fitting things. Fuck about me fitting in, keep you at a distance. You do like seasons always disappear. I believe in Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been a few days since we had FaceTime. No, it's cliche. My time is Thursday. I miss the old days. I need a replay. I hit your line on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been a few days since we had FaceTime. No, it's cliche. My time is Thursday. I miss the old days.
Okay, but before we do that, before we head to France, before we jump on that Eurostar and have the time of our lives, I had the time of my life. I just wanted to share my excitement with you. Achievement unlocked. I'm hoping I'm gonna get some footage from like what I do outside of the event. A bit of Paris for you. I doubt I'm gonna get any decent footage inside the arena, let's be freaking honest with ourselves, but the second it's over, I'll hop back on and give you my review. But, you know, any good story builds anticipation, so let's have a little chat about the fights I am most looking forward to seeing. But to smush that anticipation before we even begin, it's a roller coaster of emotions. I need to preface this by saying this card seems to have been pretty unlucky with like cancellations, injuries, etc. And I keep having to rethink the fights I want to talk about and it's exhausting. I hate thinking. So let's not be surprised if editing lolly pops up at some point and goes But I'm remaining optimistic. I'm remaining optimistic that this has been locked in now. These are the fights I am excited to see. And speaking of fights I'm excited to see on the UFC Paris card, if you didn't see it, the video I did last week was very Gane heavy, and he is heavy. Cue flashback. And Gane is making a whole bunch of appearances on said TV outlet. And he's very likable, he's very charming, he's very nice, and that just paints a brighter picture of the sport as a whole. He's got his finger in another pie as well. Stop putting your fingers in pies, people, come on. Pastry deserves better. He recently became co-owner of the French MMA promotion Aries Fighting Championship. So I'm not going to be talking about the main event again this week, but just know this. I am excited about it, and I'll link that video for you on the end screen. Okay, I'm really going to start now. John Makdessi, Nasrat Haqparast. This fight was originally supposed to happen in 2019, but Nasrat got injured. Then it got rebooked for February of this year, and Makdessi pulled his hamstring right off, complete hamstring tear, and had to withdraw. Not great for Makdessi, pretty good for me, as it ended up on the card I am going to see with my eyeballs. Selfish. I've never claimed not to be. And I'll be eating that smugness when this fight gets cancelled. What I think I love most about this matchup is the slow-cooked beef. Since the first fight was cancelled, both guys have understandably fought other people, and when Nasrat fought Munoz in 2020 and walked away with the decision win, Makdessi took to his keyboard like a true warrior to reinstill that beef and guarantee himself the rebooking. He congratulated Nasrat on another snooze fest. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Nasrat retaliated, and we love to see it, saying, "You get the ass whooping next. Back up your words, big mouth. After I'm done with you, I'll leave you with a broken, bloody face." The sexual tension is palpable. Makdessi came back, essentially with his CV, pointing out that the caliber of the fighters that Nasrat has fought is not at all on the same level as his past opponents, and yes, that is true. He has faced some of the greats. Donald Cerrone, Yancy Medeiros, Francisco Trinaldo, but he's lost to every single one of them, so I don't think it's a point well made, Makdessi. And speaking of losing against higher level competition, Nasrat ain't doing so well right now either. Since that Munoz fight, he did get the win against Rafa Garcia, who we just saw lose again to Jakar Close, bless him. But then the tide seemed to turn and Nasrat lost to both Dan Hooker and Bobby Green. Hence why maybe the UFC have stopped booking him against the big boy. And Makdessi is coming into this fight off the back of a win, but it was a split decision win against a pretty inexperienced guy, and that was over a year ago. So why, Lolly? Why did this make the list? Is it simply because all the others were cancelled? No. Here are my reasons. 1, the beef we've already covered. These two don't like each other, and I love that. 2, they both have something to prove. For a while there was a big bunch of hype around Nasrat Haqparast, and this might be his last chance to come good on that. And this might be Makdessi's last chance, full stop. Beat the kid with promise, get back in the good books of the brass, get yourself some more fights, work your way up. 3, these two fighters, separately, have both put on really entertaining fights against the lower level competition. Now they're both back against lower level competition. I'm hoping they'll make some magic happen and it'll be a banger. And if we get to see vintage Makdessi, we are in for a treat. He has a traditional martial arts styling. You know, spinning stuff, lead leg kicking techniques. You haven't seen him fight if you haven't heard Rogan predicting a spin or gushing over the benefits of snapping off round kicks with no step or wind up. But Makdessi's boxing, especially the skills that we saw against Ross Pearson, is no joke either. His use of the lead hand, trap setting, and continually adapting are all something to behold. And I would sure like to behold them at UFC Paris. Excuse me while I change my freaking camera battery. Letting the team down electricity. The battery is exhausted and so am I. But Nasrat is elusive. In fact, he's one of the hardest lightweights to hit. And his first 6 professional wins all lasted less than 4 minutes. Since making it to the UFC, I believe he's only had 1 stoppage win, but he has it within him. And maybe he just needs a little bit of hate to bring it out. Okay, let's move on. Buckley versus Imavov. Where do I begin? Imavov trains out of the same gym as Ciryl Gane, MMA Factory in Paris, and we talked about this extensively last week, that the founder and coach, Fernand Lopez, has some intricate methods for researching fights and getting the game plan in place and strategy and all that delicious stuff. So I'm not going to go into detail about it now. Like I said, I'll link that video for you on the end screen. You should definitely check it out. But Imavov has all the strategic power behind him that Ciryl Gane has, and that should be terrifying enough on its own. The plan should be on point. Now, whether he executes it or not is up to him and not Lopez. And whether Buckley conforms to expectation is another matter entirely, because he don't tend to play by nobody's rules. He likes to surprise us and his opponents with crazy power and gravity-defying knockouts. How do you prepare for devastating, jumping, spinning back kicks that come out of nowhere? You tell me. He's a highlight reel in the flesh, and that's got to be difficult to break down into PDF format. Buckley has won 5 out of his last 6 fights, with only 1 of those making it to the judges. However, as well as putting people away, we have seen him be put away. Kevin Holland got him out of there with a right cross in round 3. And Alessio Di Chirico, who is also on this card, did the same with a head kick in round 1. And Imavov has the power to get guys out, usually using all the tools in his toolkit and then banging them on the ground dirty. He's a well-rounded talent with back-to-back wins over Edmund Shabazian and Ian Heinisch on his record. Now, Imavov has had some visa issues in the past, which means he has missed out on some potentially career-changing matchups, including one against Kelvin Gastelum. So landing Buckley as a big name is a big step forward for him and a big opportunity. And I think he's going to capitalize on it. He has the height advantage. He can mix in the takedowns. He's good in the clinch. Knees, elbows, framing the head and landing those big close range shots, or using his range, his movement, his jabs and kicks. Now Buckley will be looking to bring the pressure and landing those hooks, uppercuts, overhands, basically the big looping shots, and trying to overwhelm his opponent. Now I expect Imavov to pick Buckley apart from the outside, and when Buckley does pressure forward, find his way in, utilising the clinch and his takedown. Decision win for Imavov. Now that's what I expect. But what I hope is that Buckley pulls off another wild knockout that I get to see without a screen in front of me. Well, there will be screens, but without the with my eyeballs, but in the flesh, with the flesh on the eyeballs, flesh on eyeball. Surely later Lolly isn't popping up already. Here she is, but not with a cancellation. Oh, no. With an addition. Nathaniel Wood versus Ciryl Gane has just been announced. Banger. Holy smokes. I love watching Ciryl Gane fight. Anytime, anywhere. Street, organised. Do not care. He leaves it all in the cage every single time. He's coming off a loss, but a lot of people, myself included, believed he won the Burgos fight. And either way, it was an incredible performance from both athletes. He brings such an intense energy to every single matchup, and it's kill or be killed to the core. But Nathaniel Wood looked incredible his last time out. It's a really good matchup of like 2 very slick strikers, both looking to edge their way into the rankings. It's definitely going to be a banger. Wood is potentially more well-rounded, but Charles is a dog. Gritty as all hell. I think, or maybe just hope, that we see a Charlie J knockout in the later rounds. I'm excited. Back to it. And the final fight I want to talk about is, of course, the main event. Not the real main event, but the main event in my eyes, Whittaker versus Vettori. Not because I think it's going to be a close fight. I think that Rob walks through him, but because I love to watch the Reaper fight, and now I get to do it flesh on eyeballs. I'm gonna make it catch on, flesh on eyeballs. Hashtag flesh on eyeballs. And Rob, in case you haven't been paying attention, has been preparing more than just his fighting skills. Maybe because he thinks that he's gonna win as confidently as I do. Vettori is a much less dynamic striker. He telegraphs his takedowns. He doesn't have the skill levels to create openings against Rob. But he is big, he's powerful, he's strong, and according to Dariush, who has trained with him recently, he's very hungry and much improved. He also has a better chin, and his most likely path to victory, as usual, is to just brute it out. We're looking right down the barrel of the gun at a striking battle, I reckon. And Whittaker is faster He has better footwork, better defense in both striking and takedown. He'll dart in with his jab and his low kick and be back out before Marvin even knows what's going on. He mixes up all the weapons of MMA so well, but I reckon his kicks will be the story of the fight. Just like Costa did, Rob will probably use the body kicks to wear at Marvin's cardio and spirit, but just mix in the kicks in general to score points. Rob is more experienced, more well-rounded, his fight IQ is incredible. He's so smart, he's probably not going to allow Marvin to pin him against the cage, which is where Marvin likes to play. Now their grappling skills are pretty comparable, so that's something to mention, but I don't see it playing a part in this fight. And Yoel wasn't even able to control Rob with his wrestling prowess, so Marvin certainly ain't gonna. Zut Allah! We have a train to catch.
You thinking the next hit, holding on to treasures, lusting after pleasures. I become addicted to this feeling under pressure. I get plenty loot these days, I swear I never let up. It's embedded in my genetics, like nice clothes and seeing where the night goes. Lately when the lights low, I just get like light bulbs. Attempted to right wrongs, I carry a light load. I travel the right roads, I see how the dice roll. I talk that you need to hear, tell it how I'm dealing with it. They been on that silly shit, I rap the pay the billies. Trying to see I'm nearly here, out here flossing plenty big. I don't want no bust down wrist, I'd rather save my innocence. Miss when we would Kool-Aid sip, cops outside the church. Out here in the field, they pull it off the hip and empty clip. I'm talking cryptic, telling me we bought a bigger crib. Pops is playing the beat scene on the bigger, better things. I'm in the classroom cutting up, acting like the bigger kids. My hood was really everything. The bros was more than tenants here. I was barely tenant couldn't kick a flip for just copped the whip and dipped him. Thought to steal that, see what we've been dealing with. Let's get broad is filthy here. Hate the fact that I wasn't surprised to hear when Chris got killed. Like I'm barely fitting things. Fuck about me fitting in, keep you at a distance. You do like seasons always disappear. I believe in Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been a few days since we had FaceTime. No, it's cliche. My time is Thursday. I miss the old days. I need a replay. I hit your line on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been a few days since we had FaceTime. No, it's cliche. My time is Thursday. I miss the old days. I need a replay. You could catch me laying in the flowers, lungs full of them vapors, losing track of hours. Your lip balm on my taste buds, laying in the flowers.
Welcome to my hotel room. I am back from the UFC Paris event. Is my scientific theory hometown advantage? Not always the case. I've talked about this before. Dominic Cruz in San Diego recently, par exemple. But when the UFC hadn't been to the UK for 3 years and they came to the UK, most of the UK fighters on that card got a win that night. Not all, but most. Then, when they came back just a couple of weeks later, not the same story. Tragedy. When the feeling's gone and you can't go on. Feeling's gone in Tom Aspinall's leg. My point being, is there something in that energy of like not having been there in so long, and the electricity of the crowd and it being such a special event, that it's getting rowdy in the hotel. We're going to be doing shots with Georges St. Pierre. He's just waiting in the wings. But is there something in that? Maybe the second UFC event in the UK this year just wasn't as special to the fans, so it wasn't the same effect. Because every single French fighter on this card won tonight. Granted, there weren't actually that many slim pickings, but Saint-Denis, Ziam, Gomi, who essentially either birthed himself or forced himself violently back into the womb. I haven't quite figured out which way I want that analogy to play out, but I wonder if they come back to France in a couple of months' time, if it would be the same story. All that to say, good night for the French, bad night for the Italians. And where I was sat, I was in a deep dish Italian pizza, and they were electric for 90% of the time and deflated for the last... Oh, I almost spilled my monster. They felt how I would have felt if I'd have spilled this monster. Vettori was never going to win. Just found €2. Beers Rami Georges. I thought Manzo had a chance, but got that 3-piece and soda by the Russian, who always looks bewildered. But what else do we want to talk about? It was a night. Oh, I'll tell you what I want to talk about. Why was tiny Robert Whittaker fighting tiny Kelvin Gastelum? Insert photo of the Makdessi versus Haqparast fight. Do they not look like tiny versions of Gastelum and Whittaker? What if I'd have had a couple of drinks and gotten very confused? This video could have gone very differently. And seeing as that Haqparast and Makdessi fight was so fucking boring, sorry, out of all the ones that I said I was most excited for, that was the only one that didn't deliver. They could go on and have freaking second career in looking-aliking. So the first fight kicking off the prelims was the first fight that had a French fighter in it. You should have felt it. You should have felt it. And he got the knockout in the second round. Ooh! Right hand sat his opponent down. That right hand was money. That right hand on the button every time he threw it. And then after that super boring Makdessi fight, we had the Magomedov 19-second knockout. Now, if you don't know, now you know. There was so much hype around this guy coming into this fight, and he didn't disappoint. Front kick up the middle, toes to nose, bombs to finish. What's next for that guy? Because we need, me and you and Sean Shelby need to keep this ball rolling with Magomedov. 19 seconds, he hardly went to work. Can't call that a full shift. Get back in there. The Charles Jourdain Nathaniel Wood fight was beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. They just stood nose to nose and just exchanged blows. I'm a poet tonight. I think it's the French air. Like at the start, Jourdain was looking sharp. Like when he was keeping it simple, his jab, his cross, landing beautifully. All the flying attacks, and they're fun, aren't they? But they weren't really landing. Nathaniel was just having a good night. He's just having a lot of good nights recently, and he looked so good. It was a close fight, but Nathaniel was just kind of pitting him to the post. Is that a phrase? I think it's sports related, and this aside, I don't really know anything about sports. I don't really know anything about sports. Please watch my MMA YouTube channel. But yeah, it was a great fight. They were just standing in the pocket and just exchanging. It was beautiful. It was some really nice elbows from both sides. Off the break, I believe in the first round, Wood was just getting the bigger shots. He was getting the takedown. He was getting some snaky trips in. Oh, and he got on the mic and actually showed some personality. You just don't really see it a lot from him, and especially in comparison to Jourdain, who is a personality. Whether he wins or loses, you want to watch that, don't you? The Imavov-Buckley fight, it did not disappoint. Imavov's performance was beautiful. Those first two rounds, he was in control. He landed some really nasty ground and pound. He really kind of switched on the drama. They were not enjoying one another's company. And we're in the most romantic city on earth. Come on, guys. Show some love. They did actually show some love at the end. It was all love at the end. But at the start, it was not at all. But there was a moment, I think it was in the first round, where Imavov caught Buckley's kick, and we all for a second went, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do the famous kick? He didn't, he kind of just lost his balance. But yeah, he was basically playing with him for 2 rounds, and then Buckley went wild, went aggressive, turned it on in the third, was just throwing everything he had, putting everything he had behind every single strike. There were mouthpieces flying everywhere. It was fucking beautiful. And like I said, they kissed and made up at the end, so it's all love, babes. Let's get into the co-main and the mains. Like I said at the start, I didn't think either of them were gonna finish early, which is fine. That doesn't always mean it's a snooze fest, but sometimes it does. I don't know. I was surrounded by Italians. So when Marvin Vettori walked out, it was a joy to behold. I will surely insert some clips. Then, like, in this deep dish pizza, there was 6 of us all cheering for Bobby Knuckle. Now, I've said time and time again, I'm a fan of the sport. I'm not really a fan of individual fighters unless it's Stipe. We'll get into my love for Islam Makhachev in a couple of weeks. I just like to see good MMA. There's something about Marvin Vettori that I don't like. And there's something about Bobby Knuckles that everyone fucking likes. You can't not like Bobby Knuckles. As expected, from the start, Whittaker was just so much faster. He was moving in and out, keeping a distance, getting in, moving out. His defense from the off was Matrix style. Marvin, the whole way through, 3 rounds, hitting air. Bobby started to pick up his offense as well, and then it was just like, what are you even doing there, Vettori? In the third, Vettori did kind of come out strong, landed a couple, but then it was just Bobby Knuckles all the way. Bobby Knuckles all the way. And another thing, so Bobby won. Did I get that across? He won. Bobby Knuckles. He won. What's next for Bobby Knuckles? Is he gonna... Oh, maybe there'll be fresh blood. Is he gonna move up? I don't think he should move up. He's only a little guy. Main event. Now, my goodness, I'm still reeling from this main event. I said, and I quote me, I don't think Tai can get knocked out. He took those massive shots from Derek Lewis, so Gane's not gonna be able to knock him out. Oh my Gane. It was all very calculated in round 1. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be how it's gonna be. Gane's just gonna out-technique him. Then, Dan knocked Gane down, and we were all... But then they just started trading big blows, both of them, as they were just almost taking it in turns, just the hardest shots they could throw at each other. No one going out. I did not like being hit in the body, which is weird because I love it. But then in the third, Gane was just digging his toes into his body. Digging, just toes in tum, and it was a lot more one-sided. Masterclass from Gane. It was phenomenal, it was dramatic, and it looked a little something like this. Thanks for coming to frickin' Paris with me. I apologise for the camera quality and the lighting quality and probably the sound quality. I hope you'll forgive me. I also wanted to say thank you so fricking much to everyone who watched last week's video and said lovely fucking things. I am an inspiration. Check that one out if you haven't already. Let me know what you think is next for Ciryl Gane. In the future, I am fascinated to see him fight the other kind of new next evolution of the sport in Tom Aspinall. Let me know in the comments and I will see you next week. Fuck. Khamzat Nate fight. How excited are we? How excited are we? Are we excited? Drop me a thumbs up if you're excited. And follow me on Instagram. All that good stuff. Why am I crouched over like a little gremlin?